This week on American Airgunner, I'm traveling to Fairfax, Virginia to check out the National Rifle Association's headquarters and take a guided tour of their 15,000 square foot museum. We'll be sitting down at the round table to discuss foot-pounds. Rick User's back this week and he's reviewing the Walther Terrace air rifle. All this coming up right now on American Airgunner. I'm in Fairfax, Virginia at the NRA headquarters where the National Firearms Museum is. We're going to go inside and see the most important air gun in American history. So I'm here at the NRA National Firearms Museum with Philip Schreier. How many guns total in this museum?
In this museum on display today, we're going to look at about 3,000.
3,000.
And that's about half of what we actually have. But it's as much as we can put on display. I don't have room for any more. But that, yeah, about 3,000.
Shall we?
Let's do it.
Okay, so I gotta ask, if you're talking 3,000 guns, where on earth do you begin?
You start at the beginning, of course. And that's going to be the 1300s when hand cannons were developed. And move all the way chronologically down the timeline until we get to today. We were the recipients of a great gift, the largest gift in the whole history of the NRA, from the Robert E. Peterson Foundation through his estate. We got 425 guns, represents about $20 million in value, the largest gift in the history of the NRA. And man, this is the finest gun room in the country. These were some of the guns that were given to Mr. Peterson from the different types of disciplines that were being shot during these Olympics that was held in Los Angeles back in 1984. One of my favorites, which is, thank you Logan, is this wonderful Crossman.
Okay, now we're talking.
Used by the United States Olympic shooting team, but this one is the property of then Vice President George Bush. When
George Bush Sr.
Yeah. 41. But he received this as a token of esteem from the U.S. shooting team during the Olympics, and it's a beautiful Crossman with an LED display, and this is what our team used during that Olympiad. So it's a great piece that it highlights the Olympics, it highlights air rifles, and a presidential property as well.
Now they've changed a lot since 1984. The Vampire Hunter?
It's the Vampire Hunter gun. You know, we've got guns here that were made for the royal wedding of Charles and Diana, the Prince and Princess of Wales. We've got guns that were given by Queen Victoria to Knights of the Garter, Buffalo Bill, Annie Oakley, you know, all kinds of historic guns. This is the one that gets the most press. It's a Colt Detective Special in sterling silver. Now, the gun's full coverage engraving by Colt's master engraver Leonard Francolini, and even the projectiles for the bullets are hand-carved vampire heads.
Who has this in their garage?
Or in their office, as it were. He had these in his office in Wilshire Boulevard, 10 Gatling guns. He loved mechanical guns, so he put together the world's largest private collection of Gatlings. And here we are in 1350.
1350.
1350.
First guns.
Pretty much when it all starts. We know that this hand cannon here came from a siege site.
Hand cannon.
Hand cannon. It's hardly the thing that you use by a hand, though. It's more of an artillery piece. In this case, the Marion style helmet that would have been worn in Jamestown, Virginia, right here in Virginia in 1607. And so here we have a great painting up here called the Battle of Lexington Green. The shot heard around the world. But here you see Captain Parker and the 70 Patriot Minutemen, and then a shot rings out to this day, nobody knows from which side, and they begin shooting. And so the Battle of Lexington Green begins our quest for independence. All this other stuff about the Boston Tea Party, the Intolerable Acts, the Townsend Act, the Stamp Act. These things didn't happen in the days or weeks preceding April 19th. They happened years and in fact decades before. So what was the triggering effect? You know, why was the 19th of April selected? The reason is because Pitcairn had signed letters from Gage saying, you will go this day and remove all stands of arms, powder, ammunition, artillery from the colonists. You will disarm them. It was the line in the sand. Okay. That was it. It was firearms. They were after the guns that morning, where they hadn't been before. And that's what started the war.
That's what a government trying to take away firearms from the people is what started the Revolutionary War.
Absolutely.
All right, when we come back, we'll be hanging out with Rick Usler as he'll be reviewing the Walther Terrace air rifle. Don't go anywhere. American Airgunner is sponsored by Umarex, Zeroed In. Pyramid Air, America's largest retailer of air guns. By Hatsan, serious, solid impact. And by the Boot Campaign, awareness, patriotism, assistance. And we're back with another American Airgunner gun review with my man, Rick Usler, the Judgy McJudgies of all guns out there. All right, so Judgy McJudge, what are we looking at here? This is a nice looking gun.
This gun has me very excited.
Oh, easy, my friend.
Yes, I know. This is the new Walther Terrace.
Okay.
This is a European gun built in Germany, coming in at an extremely aggressive price point, well under $300.
Wow.
So this is really, we haven't had this in the marketplace for quite some time.
So why is it so nice? What's about? I mean, because I see it's got the, you know, the shiny glow stick things here. So there you go. I mean, it's
okay. So you have basically a break barrel spring rifle. It's got a threaded muzzle if you want to attach accessories like an air stripper. What I've done is I've mounted a scope to the traditional 11mm rail. Yeah. I'm using a Hawk Varmint side focus scope. It's not a very expensive scope. It's under $200, but it really works well in this rifle. And what really testifies to the build quality of this gun, if you notice I've got marks on here. You see those? That, I put those on the day I mounted the scope. Okay. I'm using a single strap configuration. These are BKL mounts and they hold very well. Right. It has not moved. Right. What this tells me is that they've done such a good job in the engineering of this gun that even though it's got the reverse recoil, it's so mild. Because I have no scope stops and it has held throughout my entire testing.
Is it just designed for accuracy for?
Well, it's designed for both accuracy and small game hunting. This is dead on 12 foot-pounds.
Okay.
But here's the thing, it will put the pellet exactly where you want it.
Okay.
So it may only do, say, 600 or so, maybe 610 feet per second versus 750 or 780. But it's so easy to shoot. And it's so precise that even at 40 and 50 yards, you can hit something the size of a quarter.
So what's the downside to this gun?
The only downside that I could think of from a U.S. purchaser perspective is they're gonna have to get over that aversion to buying something that's less powerful.
So you're saying this has the accuracy and the knockdown power to do everything you want out of a 22.
Exactly. So a small game like squirrel and rabbit has more than enough energy and you can put it exactly where you want it, which is really the key.
Yeah.
Because you can have 20, 25, 30 foot-pounds, but if you're not hitting what you want,
yeah. I'm noticing here there's a little screw under here on the trigger. What is this for?
That is an adjustable trigger. It came out of the box, shooting so nice, I haven't touched it.
Okay.
It's got an automatic safety.
Yeah.
Traditional brake barrel. I mean, it's super smooth. I think you should try it.
All right, let's give it a shot. Oh my gosh.
I'm telling you, it is. Here's something that's really important. I have some people that come to our airgun club and they're older gentlemen, and they have bad shoulders or whatever. They just can't do the big heavy brake barrels.
Sure.
This gun they can comfortably cock and still enjoy that shooting that they've maybe missed with their air guns for quite a while. It's very, very easy to cock.
Oh my! I mean, it's almost.
Yeah, if you're used to hitting the big heavy ones,
it's almost too light. That's a very, very nice.
It's super
cocking mechanism.
Super
I mean, and
quiet
just
too.
Light. Like, it doesn't feel like a 22. It just feels like a lighter gun.
Yeah, it's very, very nice for somebody that's looking for that real quality and a good, very aggressive price point. All day long, baby, all day long.
So obviously a very beautiful gun. Go to AmericanAirgunner.com to find out where you can purchase this gun and stay with us. We got more American Airgunner coming up. Wow. I don't even want to try again. But I have to. Wow.
I don't know, man. You hit 3 in a row.
Don't go anywhere. We got more from the NRA headquarters right after this.
Jefferson's vision for a country was outside the box. And one of those things is by kind of adopting a young gentleman by the name of Meriwether Lewis to lead an expedition called the Corps of Discovery and go all the way out to the Pacific Ocean and back over a 3-year period. One of the most interesting things about the Corps of Discovery is on the very first page of the first diary or journal entry that Lewis and Clark make on this 3-year journey. He talks about an air rifle. Mm-hmm. And we just happen to have, thank you, Logan, an air rifle of the very type that Lewis talks about in the journals.
The Giardoni.
The Giardoni. It still is one of the most amazing feats of technology and craftsmanship I've ever seen for the time. And it's an air gun. It makes it the most significant air gun in the history of air guns. You have a reservoir that holds 800 psi. It dispenses an accurate amount of air pressure every time 40 times before there's a noticeable change.
What caliber?
46. It's a rifled 46 caliber. This right here is a tube magazine, and you can drop 20 rounds of 46 caliber lead balls. All you have to do is push this, and a ball will drop into this chamber, and then it's now in battery.
So then I guess the question is, could this be the one?
It certainly could. and it certainly may not. This air rifle served a higher purpose. It wasn't just something that they could shoot often. It's something they could intimidate people with.
Can I hold it?
Sure.
What are these numbers? Do these numbers mean anything specific?
Yeah, there were actual serial numbers. This is a military version. The Austrians used them during the Napoleonic period. Anytime you want to mention an air gun, this is the King Daddy that changes the world. Sea to shining sea, because we connect all the dots for Lewis and Clark all the way out to the Pacific Ocean and back. And we do it, foul or fair, intimidating, and misrepresenting possibly, but at any rate, it worked. We have kids' room from the 50s. Here we've got an air rifle that was given to the NRA. It's not quite the Daisy Red Ryder.
What am I looking at here?
You were looking at a Daisy that is the very first one ever made.
This is the very first Daisy BB gun.
It's not just of the first ones, it is the first one. This board was given to us in 1971, 1888, the very first Daisy air rifle ever made. So this board was given to us by Daisy, and on the board was their actual first production gun ever manufactured. So this is the original Daisy air rifle.
This is obviously when they started to kind of revolutionize what they've become now.
Well, Rossi, this is one of my favorite galleries in the museum, and one of our most successful exhibits over the years has been Hollywood guns.
Sure.
And these are all the actual guns of our silver screen heroes. Quite a collection of guns from Tom Selleck here.
Yeah.
Clint Eastwood, the outlaw Josie Wales, one of my...
Rifleman. I used to love the Rifleman.
What do you think is the most recognizable gun on earth?
44 Magnum.
Of course. Go ahead and make my day.
Yes.
That's the actual...
Dirty Harry.
That's Dirty Harry's gun right there.
Right there.
That's it. And that's the original Dirty Harry gun.
Arnold Schwarzenegger, like the future guns, you have
A lot of people don't know that the air guns play a huge part in some of the movies, especially the early ones. Mm-hmm. And John Wayne goes bang like that and shoots a paint can off the fence. He's not shooting it with a real round, but a guy over his shoulder is shooting with an air rifle. Whenever a lot of
'Cause you
these
can't
things
hear
are
it.
shot, you can't hear it, but it's also not firing a lethal round at anybody. So yeah, they were using air rifles as backup shots, over the shoulder shots, to make it look like real bullets were being hit.
Philip knows everything. He's amazing. Goodness gracious. The stories that you have and the history that you add to this is just absolutely priceless.
Oh, you're too kind.
So I appreciate it,
It's
man.
been a pleasure to have you all here.
Well, thank you. When we return, we'll be sitting down at the round table to get the nitty-gritty details about foot-pounds and your air guns. Hey, welcome to the round table. Today I am joined by the godfather of air guns, Mr. Tom Gaylord, our hunter, Jim Chapman, and our gun critic, Rick Usler. Gentlemen, today we're talking about one of my favorite topics in the air gun world. Foot-pounds. What does it mean and why do I care? What is foot-pounds? Give me the,
It
what's
is
the
the
whole thing?
energy that is needed to move 1 pound, 1 foot of distance. There's a lot of suppositions in what I just said, and I'm not going to go into them in this right now.
Thank God.
But it is the energy necessary to move 1 pound, 1 foot. Let me give you an example, though. I'll make
Okay.
it simple. In the Civil War, they,
I'm going to make it simple.
no, come
In
on.
this- okay.
This is easy.
All right.
Obviously, south, north, they fought with lines, and they had cannon.
Yeah.
And the cannon were firing 6-pound and 12-pound cannonballs. And they weren't going very fast, about 300, 350 feet per second. So as soon as they get out of the cannon, they start bouncing along the ground, and they're, of course, skipping towards the bad guys, right? And you're on the side that the ball's coming towards, and it doesn't look like it's moving very fast. So hundreds of soldiers, when the ball was coming at them, would stick out their hand to touch as it went by, and it would take off their arm at the shoulder, or they would take off their leg at the joint, and they would die. That's energy. That's tens of thousands of foot-pounds of energy. Instead of being hit by the Toyota at 5 miles an hour and being bumped in your car, you were hit by a 1 mile long freight train at 5 miles an hour, and you were pushed for a mile down the tracks. It's the difference in energy.
I'll give you another example, to me a practical one from a hunting standpoint. Everybody is used to looking at velocity. That doesn't tell me as a hunter what it's going to do on game. If I shoot a 1,000 feet per second with something as light as a speck of dust isn't going to cause any injury, any impact. It's not transferring any energy. 1,000 feet per second with a 20 grain pellet is going to cause a lot of damage, transfer a lot of energy.
Here's something to consider too. We've got a couple guns here that if you looked at them just on paper, this is a 650 foot per second gun. This is a 650 foot per second gun. The difference is this is 650 in 22 caliber. This is 650 in 177.
Okay.
This is going to have a lot more energy than this. So if little Johnny is going to try and shoot squirrels or something in the backyard, and he sees 650 feet per second, and he grabs this gun, he's going to be far less effective and maybe not effective at all. Where this gun, he may be highly effective.
Right.
The difference is the foot-pounds of energy that's going to get delivered. And we have some different, we go from maybe like a 12 foot-pound to a 9 foot-pound. You said the new Rotec
About
from
20.
about 20, and this one was upwards of over 200 foot-pound.
Most importantly, though, this comes typically into hunting.
No, there is one other thing, and that is target shooting. It's just the reverse. In target shooting, you don't need a lot of energy. And they make backstops for target air guns very thin because they don't have to stop a lot of energy. 10 meter, I'm talking about bullseye targets for the Olympics. They only expect about 6 foot-pounds or less. If you hit that backstop with a 12 foot-pound gun, which we think is not too powerful, it's going to go through the backstop.
Right.
So in target shooting, and I admit that's a niche, but you've got over 1 million young people in this country doing it every year. In target shooting, it's just the reverse. You want as low foot-pounds as possible while still maintaining accuracy.
Is there a basic rule of thumb when it comes to the understanding of just foot-pounds in general when you're looking for a gun for whatever the reason?
Well, I'll give you the magic number. I think that's a kind of a basic
Ooh,
rule.
there's a magic number.
There's a magic
I
number.
can't wait.
671.
671.
Yep.
That's the magic number.
It's the area. No, it's The weight of the pellet in grains, 7 grains, equals the foot-pounds. 671 feet per second, a 7-grain pellet generates 7 foot-pounds, a 25-grain pellet generates 25 foot-pounds. So if I'm buying a 1,000 foot per second gun and it only shoots 7-grain pellets, I'm not going to generate the same energy as if I'm buying an 800 foot per second gun that shoots 30-grain pellets.
Okay.
That magic number, you have
So
to
at least you can go, like, if I'm
extrapolate.
getting at least 671, I know at least whatever grain pellet I'm
Exactly.
shooting, that's how much foot-pound
Yeah,
I get.
yeah.
Okay.
And an easier way also, if you want to buy a small game hunting gun, 12 to 20 foot-pound, you're golden. If you're buying a Springer especially, 12 to 20 foot-pound, you'll take any game that you should be able to take.
Next week on American Airgunner, we're going to evaluate the accuracy and efficiency of shooting a 22 caliber air rifle compared to 22 long rifle. And finally, we'll see a special edition of the Round Table Vegas style. All that and more coming up next week, right here on American Airgunner.
It's got a threaded muzzle if you want to attach accessories like an air stripper. It has the fiber optic.
Sorry, an air stripper?
Yeah, an air stripper. You haven't seen an air stripper?
I have, but I was in an airplane. What exactly is an air stripper?